Hello friends. Now let's start with the second task of PT speaking, which is called repeat sentence. This is one of the most important tasks in PT and is also the second task in the exam. So you need to be really prepared to face this difficult task because a lot of people find it very tricky. Now the reason this task is called repeat sentence is because you will hear a sentence and after the sentence ends, you need to repeat it exactly in the same way as it was spoken. So first you listen and then you speak. So once again, just like read aloud, this task is also an integrated task. The total number of questions which you will get in this task is somewhere around 8 to 12 questions. In each question you will get one sentence, and after each sentence ends, you will need to repeat it exactly as you hear it. Hence it's called repeat sentence. The total marks contribution of this task is pretty steep. You get a lot of marks in speaking and listening. Approximately you'll get easily 18 to 24 points in your speaking and listening scores out of 90 points. That's how important this task is. I've generally observed that students who are good at repeat sentence generally don't struggle in getting a high score in their speaking and listening modules. Now the main thing which you need to understand in this task is after the audio ends, in which the sentence will be played or spoken, there will be a blue recording bar which starts below and there is no beep sound. So after the audio ends, you get just 2 to 3 seconds maximum, after which the blue recording bar starts. As soon as the blue recording bar starts, you need to start speaking. Please note there is no beep sound. A lot of people wait for the beep sound, but as I'm saying again and again, there is no beep sound. As soon as you see the blue bar move, you must start speaking your answer. And as soon as you finish speaking your answer, even if the blue bar is in the middle, you still have some time left, you must click on the next button immediately. Remember what I said earlier? If you don't speak for 3 seconds or more, and I want to add to this, if you don't speak even for a single second, the microphone thinks that silence is not fluency. Means you will lose points for speaking. So as soon as you finish, as soon as you say the last word, click next immediately and move on to the next audio question. Please note this is very important. Now before I explain certain strategies or techniques how to deal with this task, let me be very honest and let me explain a bit more about this task. This is one task which involves the use of short-term memory skills. Because you don't have much time to think about the sentence, you have to act quickly, which means you have to reply back or give the answer as soon as the blue bar starts, and you get hardly 1 or 2 seconds to think or memorize the sentence. So coming to some strategies, a lot of people try to take notes of the initials. Initials means the first letter of each word. People try to note very quickly on their sheet. Remember in the PT exam, they'll give you a few pens like marker pens or sketch pens and some erasable plastic sheets on which you can take notes with those pens. Now if you ask me my honest opinion whether it's a good technique or a bad technique, I would say that honestly I would not recommend note taking in repeat sentence. There are a lot of reasons to support my viewpoint. The first reason is because you don't have a lot of time. And when you take notes, obviously some part of your attention will be focused on note taking. Second, sometimes if you are not able to take notes quickly, or even if you are able to take notes quickly, you might not be able to understand your own handwriting because it's not an actual pen and it's not an actual paper. These are plastic sheets and these are sketch pens or marker pens. So you might not be able to understand your handwriting, and that will create unnecessary pressure and affect your performance in the remaining questions also. Third, some questions are going to be with very short audio, some with lengthy audio. By short I mean 10 words or less. By lengthy I mean maybe 14 to 17 words also, because sometimes sentences can be very lengthy. Now if you're going to take notes, and imagine that logically you're going to get at least 2 to 3 long sentences, right? Because it's a test. Some questions are bound to be difficult. Everything cannot be easy. If you get a very lengthy sentence, even if you take notes, you might forget. And that is the main reason I'm against note taking in this specific task. Then what should you do? Well, according to me, you need to improve certain capacities of your mind. For example, you need to improve your visualization power, and you also need to work on your short-term memory skills. Let me explain how to do both these tasks efficiently. Number one, what I mean by visualization. Now let's say there is a sentence which is spoken like this. It's a beautiful day to play cricket today. You can try to keep your eyes closed for a moment and you can try to understand the main keywords. It's a beautiful day to play cricket today. Now I'll give you one golden tip, which is always try to understand and follow the tone of the speaker. The speaker generally won't speak in a flat tone. The pitch goes up and down. For example, it's a beautiful day to play cricket today. So beautiful cricket today. If you focus and if you train your brain to focus on intonation in the audio, believe me, your grasping power and your short-term memory skills both will improve. Number two, let's say there is a sentence, okay? The police were chasing the thief's car at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour. So try to visualize, the police chasing the thief's car 40 kmph or 40 kilometers per hour. Now, if you focus on the main keywords, your brain will try to synthesize that information as if it's a film going on in front of your eyes, That's why it's very important to focus on the main words and also on the ups and downs in the speaker's voice when the audio is going on. Now, let me explain the scoring criteria, and then I'll explain some good strategies, and then we'll see some examples where I perform and demonstrate those strategies also. Coming to the scoring criteria, there are three main parameters on which the speaking and listening scores are based in this task. Number one, oral fluency means how fluently you speak. Number two, pronunciation means how clearly you speak each word and how the software processes and captures those words. Number three, content means how accurately you speak the words in the correct sequence. Now, for fluency, we get a score of 5 out of 5 points, 5 being the maximum, 0 being the minimum. For pronunciation, we get a maximum score of again 5 out of 5, 5 being the maximum like native-like pronunciation and 0 being minimum. And for content, there is partial scoring, which is a maximum out of 3 points. So 3 out of 3 is the maximum score for content. Now let me explain what is the meaning of partial scoring. Partial scoring means that even if you are not 100% correct with the content, the software will still award you points for partial accuracy. So the scoring is like this. If all words match in the correct sequence, means it's 100% correct, you get 3 out of 3, which is the maximum score in content. If your accuracy is between 50 to 100%, you get 2 out of 3. So let's say out of 12 words, if 6 words are spoken in the correct sequence, as in the audio, you get 2 out of 3 points. If your accuracy is between 0 to 50%, means even 1 or 2 words are correct in the correct sequence, you still get 1 out of 3 points in content. But if none of the words match, then obviously you get a 0. Which is a very good thing actually, the partial scoring criteria, because even if you're not 100% accurate, you can still get some good points for your listening score, because content always affects your listening marks. Fluency and pronunciation always affect your speaking scores. Keep that in mind always in integrated tasks. Now the main thing in this task is you need to speak very confidently. You need to speak very clearly by opening your mouth properly. The most important thing now, you need to speak fluently. Means you need to speak in such a way that is smooth and confident, and there should not be abrupt pauses. You should never correct your sentences even if you make mistakes. You should try and not omit words. You should try and not add words. All these things, if they happen once, it's okay. But if they happen again and again, then like a house of cards, your score will also fall down very quickly. So try not to repeat mistakes and try never correcting mistakes. That is a strict no from my side. Now, according to me, before I delve deep with my best technique, which is guaranteed to give you a very high score in speaking and listening both, let me tell you how you should practice this task. Now, my favorite method to improve repeat sentence is called bulk practice. Bulk practice means you do a lot of work in a very short amount of time so that your brain gets used to that huge chunk of work as quickly as possible, and you do it 2 to 3 or 4 times a day. So your brain gets into a pattern. It forms a habit, right? Patterns create habits. Once your brain is habituated to practicing repeat sentences in this way, which I'll share now, believe me, within 1 to 2 weeks, if you follow it religiously with full discipline, you are bound to see maximum improvement. Now, bulk practice means you practice repeat sentences for just 10 minutes. In those 10 minutes, in a single sitting, you will listen to a sentence, you will repeat the answer, and you will just go to the next question. Whichever source you are practicing from, whether it's from our practice portal, whether it's from our YouTube channel, always do bulk practice. Listen, repeat the sentence, go to the next audio. Don't check every sentence by sentence, because in the real exam you cannot check answers, obviously. So if you train your brain to not check answers, you're preparing for the battle in the right way. Correct? Your brain gets used to it, because if you start checking every answer, then your brain gets used to checking every answer. And if you don't check answers later, then the brain resists. It gets uncomfortable, and in the exam it will surely panic. Why? Because in the real exam, everybody around you will be speaking at the same time. It's a very noisy and chaotic atmosphere. So one more tip, whenever you practice repeat sentences at home, wear a headset just like you would in the real exam, and keep some disturbance on in the background, like some music or radio or TV or whatever, so that your brain gets used to processing the background noise also, and you need to focus only on your repeat sentence audio. Do bulk practice 3 to 4 times a day. Means 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, 10 minutes before you sleep. In 10 minutes, if you don't check an answer, you can easily do 30 to 40 sentences non-stop. Don't worry about your accuracy in the early stages. Believe me, you will feel disappointed. You will not feel happy with your performance, because out of, let's say, 30 or 40 sentences, you might be able to repeat just 4 or 7 or 8 sentences 100% accurately, whereas in the remaining ones you might be between 60 to 80% accurate. Now, what if I tell you that even with 80% consistent accuracy, you can still get a band 8 or a band 9 in listening, and certainly a band 9 in speaking? It is possible, yes, provided you speak the main keywords in every sentence in proper fluency and with full confidence and clarity. Small words like in, on, off, for, even if you make mistakes, or if you skip, it's okay. Now remember, sometimes I'm saying, not always. If 1 or 2 sentences, if you make mistakes or skip small words, it's okay. As far as you are more than 50% accurate with your content, as I explained the scoring criteria earlier, out of 3 points in content, you can still get 2 out of 3, and the remaining 10 points come from pronunciation and fluency. So out of maximum 13 theoretical points per question, you can still get 12 out of 13, which is a pretty good number or score in my personal opinion. So in few sentences which are easy, you should have 100% accuracy, and in few sentences which are really hard, you must have at least 50 to 100% accuracy. We have to try our best always. Now, one important thing which I would like to stress at this point is the topic's instruction. The instruction is like this, which is written on top of each question of repeat sentence. You will hear a sentence. Please repeat the sentence exactly as you hear it. You will hear the sentence only once. You can't replay it. You will hear it only once. Now, the second part of the instruction is, please repeat the sentence exactly as you hear it. That means, ideally, at the same speed, in the same sequence, and possibly with the same intonation. That means, if the speaker is stressing on 1 or 2 words in the audio, you should also try. It's not compulsory, but this is written in the PT score guide also, and in the white papers issued by PT long back, that if you speak a sentence in the way it is supposed to be spoken, it makes a huge difference in understanding it. So the content part of the algorithm, the PT software, will always help you in your score if you focus on the right words. Again, I'm saying it's not compulsory, because a lot of times I have seen that students focus too much on copying the tone of the speaker and they forget the actual sentence tone or keywords they forget, So that should not happen. First priority, fluency. Second priority, content. Both go hand in hand. Third priority, catching the tone of the speaker and copying it. For example, it's a very sad day today because somebody has died. Now, if I say like this, it's a very sad day today because someone has died. It's not the same meaning which I'm conveying, right? Because the sentence is supposed to be sad. It is spoken in a sad way. That's why if you try to copy the tone and match the fluency, that's a very good thing, because that will convey to the algorithm that this person is able to understand and convey the information in the same way as a spoken, which means your listening skills are very good. So that's why it's very, very important. Now, let's say there is a very long sentence and you forget some words maybe in the beginning or some words at the end. What should you do? Should you just click next immediately? Let's say there's a very long sentence like this. I know the solution to this problem, but I don't want to help you out because of personal reasons. Very lengthy sentence. I know the solution to this problem, but I do not want to help you out because of personal reasons. What should you do? Should you just say the words which you know and click next immediately? I would suggest no, don't do it. Why not? Let me explain very logically. Basically, any software in the world which listens to our audio or voice cannot understand us, right? It's not a living thing, it's not a human being. It's a software, it's an algorithm. All these algorithms use speech to text processing to understand what we are saying. So basically, our voice is a sound wave. I'm sure all of you understand it, right? So basically, it is an analog wave which is converted into digital information, analog to digital. That is how the software understands what you're trying to say. That is one of the first parts of processing the audio sound wave. Now, let's say the audio is very lengthy. Now, a lengthy sentence will be of at least 2.5 to 3 seconds, right? I'm sure all of you will agree with me. Now, if the audio is 3 seconds, and if I just say 30% words, which is just like 1 second, and then do next, the audio length and my answer length, will it match? Unfortunately, it will not match. That is why it's really important that the length of our answer matches with the length of the audio. But the biggest problem is with long sentences which are hard to remember accurately. So what should you do? Should you skip the words? Absolutely no. If you skip words, you will definitely lose some points for content. What if I give you a better strategy which can actually guarantee you to get the maximum possible score? Even if you don't know the word, still you can say something, which I'll explain how. And that technique is essentially called mimicking the sound of the audio. Now, how this will help you is because there are two main reasons. The first is because you will not skip, so you will speak something for the same length as the audio. So the software will also calculate your answer length as the score contribution towards listening. And secondly, whenever you book your exam, you should always select your language as your mother tongue, because PT will always ask you what is your native language. For example, I'm from Gujarat, so I will select Gujarati. So my answers will be sampled against recordings of Gujarati speaking students who are taking the PT exam. So even if I don't pronounce a word properly, but if I mimic the sound of that word, the software will definitely give me benefit of doubt. Now, again, conditions apply. This will work if you do it 2 to 3 times in all questions combined for repeat sentence. But if we do mimicking in every sentence, then obviously the software will understand what we are trying to do and it will penalize the content score. So we should not do it on purpose. We should do it if and when required. And if you do it correctly, I will show a lot of examples now. I guarantee you, you will get full points for content and definitely full marks in speaking also. Now let me demonstrate with a few examples how you should mimic the sounds in very lengthy sentences. First, I will speak the audio and then I'll repeat it as if I'm repeating the answer in the actual exam, okay? I know the solution to this problem, but I don't want to help you because of personal issues. I know the solution to this problem and I don't want to help you because of personal issues. You might find it funny, but I did not skip anything. I didn't make the sounds, right? And that is what the software wants. Same length answers and you mimic the sounds. of words which you don't know. Let's take another example. It's a beautiful day to play cricket today, but because of the rains, the match might be delayed. It's a beautiful day to play cricket today, but because of the rains, the match might be delayed. That's how you mimic the sounds of the words. You might really find it funny, but it works 100% guaranteed it works. Now the main thing here is try your best to repeat the start words and the end words of a sentence correctly, and the words in between you may mimic. Also, if you forget words in the beginning, you can mimic those sounds also. But the software is really good at capturing those words because they are right in the beginning or at the end. So that's why this technique works best when it's in the middle of the sentence. Again, I'm saying, if the sentences are short in length, like 8 to 10 words, you must get them accurately. There is no excuse for shorter sentences. You must get them correctly. But for longer sentences, this technique works like a charm. It's like magic. You can try it a couple of times and you will get the habit of using this technique. Another thing is, try to copy the tone of the speaker. It's not compulsory. Again, let me remind you, content is king. The better your fluency and the more accurate your content strategy, the higher your scores will always be in speaking and listening. Fluency is associated to speaking scores and content is linked with the listening score. So try your best to practice in a bulk practice way. 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, 10 minutes before you sleep. And in those 10 minutes, practice sentences non-stop without checking the answers so that your brain gets into that habit. The more it practices that way, the better it can perform in the real exam. Also, I have some very important tips to share with you for your test day. Please listen to me carefully. On the day of the exam, there can be a lot of pressure on you. A lot of unwanted thoughts might come in your mind just before you enter the test center. What will I do once I get 7 each or 8 each? What will I do after I get my Australian permanent residency? These are all random thoughts, very distracting thoughts, but real thoughts which can happen or which you can think about just before you enter the test center. Before you enter the test center, just go and stand or sit in a corner, plug in your headsets and practice repeat sentence either from our portal or from our YouTube channel, and that's what is important because it will get your mind in motion. It will get it in momentum. I'll take a simple example or an analogy. In a cricket match, before the match starts, players go to the ground to do warm-up. Why do they need warm-up? They need it precisely to get their body and mind in motion. Your mind is like a machine. You need to oil it. You need to get it started before the actual battle. That's what exactly this exercise will do just 5 or 10 minutes before the exam. 10 minutes, 20-30 sentences non-stop without checking the answers and your brain is ready. Along with that, you can also practice by reading aloud 3-4 questions of read aloud. That way, you are prepared for the start of your exam. And mind you, the first 10 minutes or 15 minutes of your exam will decide the course of your test. If the first 10 minutes for read aloud and repeat sentence, if they go well, you will be supremely confident. Your confidence will be on a next level, and you'll be performing really well even on a psychological level. That's why it's really important to not bungle up in the first 10 minutes of the test. Also, remember, if you make any mistakes in repeat sentence, don't worry, don't panic. You still have a lot more left in the exam, right? It is not the end of the test. It is just the beginning of the test. Don't let it affect your confidence. Everything depends on your confidence in your voice in the first 10-15 minutes of your exam. Speaking is all about confidence and fluency. So don't stop, don't fumble. As soon as you finish your answer, just go to the next question. Think of it like a video game. Your main aim is to save lives. You don't want that high score at secondary. Your main goal is to just keep on moving smoothly because repeat sentence can either make or break your confidence. It's very important to stay calm because in a noisy environment where everyone is speaking at the same time, it's very easy to get distracted. That's why even when you practice at home, practice in a noisy environment, especially all your speaking tasks, practice with your headset so that your brain gets used to it. So friends, that's all from my side for repeat sentence. Do bulk practice and don't think when you speak. Speak fluently as if you're talking to a friend. Speak freely with your clear voice and a proper intonation, but don't compromise oral fluency. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next session. Thanks.